What if one of the biggest problems men are facing right now isn't failure, but disconnection?
Because a lot of men are not physically broken, they are emotionally numb.
Wake up, eat, work, sleep, and repeat.
And eventually, survival mode becomes your personality.
A lot of men don't even realize that this is actually happening to them because it's happening so slowly.
No purpose, no challenge, no direction.
And then distractions become therapy.
Scrolling, alcohol, porn, work, gaming, constant noise.
Because the silence forces you to confront your life.
So today we're talking about why so many men feel lost and how to find themselves again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people who do not like to identify themselves. We are the Unplug Podcast, and if you're joining us for the first time, we help people like you who hate their lives, hate their wives, get unplugged.
And today, guys, we are talking about why most men are quietly losing themselves, because I genuinely believe there are millions of men losing themselves, but not necessarily in the depression sense or in the clinical sense. I'm talking the numbness, I'm talking the disconnection, I'm talking the survival mode. No excitement, no direction, no purpose. You're just existing. And the scary part is this, because on the outside, a lot of these men look completely fine. They go to work, they pay their bills, they still smile, they still function, but internally, they feel flat, they feel dead, because modern life has created a lot of men who are surviving, but are not actually living. And nobody talks about it, because men are taught to suppress, endure, and keep moving. So today's uncomfortable conversation we're having is this.
So yeah, what I kind of want us to talk a bit about was like the grey line. Because sometimes I feel like there's, across the whole line of, you know, the line of a man is like, you know, you've got like, you know, your clinical depression, your suicidal, like life is just crap right now, to like, your life is great, I'm in my element, I found my purpose. But I kind of want to talk about the middle, which is where I feel like a lot of men fall into right now, whereas like, I'm not suicidal, I'm not necessarily depressed, I'm not doing what I want to do or I think I should be doing or what I'm designed to do or my purpose. But I'm just kind of like just floating.
Yeah, surviving.
I'm surviving. I'm just kind of coasting right now. And I feel like there are a lot of men who are currently in this, you know, middle part of life, in that line of being a man. And I kind of just wanted you to talk today. I kind of just wanted to use, you know, our platform today to talk a bit about that. You know, sort of like our personal kind of relationships with this kind of particular point and aspect, because I feel like it's something that every single man deals with. And just sort of want to like, kind of bring it to the table.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm going to call it the grey area. Let's call it the grey area. And I feel the majority of men, and there are probably women out there, but let's talk for the men, because we speak from our male perspective, is that you've got into a stage in life where you're comfortable, you've got your family, you've got a decent job, you earn decent money, but you know you're not doing what you really want to do. You know you're not really, like you said, living on purpose. You're probably not really happy. Yeah. But your life is set up in such a way where you just have to keep going, and you don't feel, because you've been doing this for so long, you've normalized this is your life, and you almost feel like there's no other way.
But bro, do you even really believe in happiness though? Because I heard, you know, Simon Squibb?
Yes.
I heard him say like the School of Hard Knocks. I think you even sent me the video actually. And in part of it, the School of Hard Knocks guy said, "Are you happy?" Like he literally sold his company, he's worth like 300-400 mil. He says, "Are you happy?" And Simon Squibb says, "No, I'm not happy. Happiness is fleeting.
Yes.
I've got my purpose." And that's a lot more different, because like we always talk about, you know, fleeting emotions, right?
Yes.
But like, so like as a man, do you think you can ever like truly be happy knowing your role as a man?
Yeah, I think you can, bro. And the reason why I say that is something that I'm discovering and learning every day, is that in order to be happy, you got to identify what happy looks like. So for example, in my life, happy is getting up every day and pursuing the goals and dreams that I want. Happy is, you know, having a loving family who love me and care for me. Happy is being able to provide for the people that I love. Like, it's almost like redefining or really looking at what happiness looks like. So if you're ever in doubt, it's almost like you just go and look at what you said happiness meant for you. And then, you know, I'm on track. And I know, you know, it can be very hard, because life is not linear. It's very up and down.
Yeah.
You go through the motions. Some days you're on a high, some days you're on a low. But if you can clearly, you know, not even articulate, but have a clear understanding of what happiness means for you, then it's almost like when things are not going too well, you can just revert back to it. Does that make sense? So,
Makes sense. I probably say I personally wouldn't agree. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there's elements of being happy, but and I suppose maybe it even goes back to what you said, like your definition of happiness.
Yes.
But I just feel like it's just more so like purpose, because happy. When I think of a state of happiness, it sounds like very linear. When I think of happiness, like everything is just right. My work is right, my family is right, my finances is right. Like that's like happiness, like near like, you know, talking about peace, like we're talking like definitively now. But I just feel like it's just more so, have I got purpose? That's like for me personally as a man, it's like, have I got purpose? Do I know what I want, who I love, who are my people, who are my surroundings, and what I've been designed to do on this planet? Do you get what I mean? Because like you can find happiness in something for now, but then what if you're no longer happy in that later on? Do you get what I mean? But like I said, that's just my...
Yeah, but I think, again, I'm not saying, you know, you're going to be happy all the time. That's not realistic. Like we're all human beings and we have various different emotions, happiness, sadness, that's fine. But I feel like if you can get to a place where you've identified what happiness looks like to you, then it's almost like becoming happy on a regular basis becomes a little bit easier because you know what that looks like and it's something that you're working towards. I'm also like, yeah, in order to be happy, you have to be working towards something or create something that gives you that sense of happiness. If you look at what does happiness mean, then yeah, you have to kind of create what that looks like in your own life. But going back to what we're saying about that person who is in the grey area, like so we can paint a better picture to our listeners, to our audience. What does that person's life look like now? So people who are listening can think, "Wow, shit, they're talking about me."
I think the man in the grey is an NCP, or NPC, sorry, a non-playable character.
Okay.
You are in the background. You are just a bystander of life right now. You're not like nothing's extraordinarily good and nothing's extraordinarily bad. Like, and again, like there's obviously different layers. Like you could be like quote unquote like successful, but like you're just very, very linear. Like you just wake up, it could be Monday, and you just wake up again, it could be Thursday. Do you get what I mean? I feel like that's the type of person you are. Like if someone says like, "Oh, what's your goals in the next 3 to 5 years?" The first thing you say is nothing to do. They're selfless.
Yes.
They often be to be with your kids, your family, making sure like you're taking care of your mom or your dad because they're growing old or whatever. It's not like I want to do this or I want to like. It's very selfless. Like you're in a very selfless state right now, and you're not doing anything for you. You might not be in the greatest shape. You know what I mean? You might have let down on a few of your dreams. I just feel like you're just fulfilling a lot of other things for other people right now.
How does a person get to that? Where has life maybe gone wrong if now that's what your life looks like?
I feel you have gotten to that point in life as a man living in the grey by continually saying yes.
Okay.
I think so.
You haven't developed that superpower yet?
No. You've not got that ability yet. You know what I mean? I don't think you have said no enough amount of times to change that trajectory. Because it's the no's is that what changes the trajectory. It's the no that says, I'm actually not going to do the norm and go to university. I'm going to do an apprenticeship. Or no, I don't want to have kids right now because I want to focus on my career. Or no, I don't want to live here right now because it's a bit cheaper, it's a bit safer. I want to take the risk. I want to take the gamble. Do you get what I mean? So, or the no, I don't want to, stay in this middle management. I want to take a salary decrease, build up my skill level, and then go up. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what it is. You said yes too much.
Yeah, no, I like that.
What do you
That's
think?
good. I think you've become too comfortable with life. So I almost feel like you achieved a certain level of success. You got to a good place in your life and you got comfortable at that level.
Yeah.
And I always say that the world is an ever evolving world. If you're not leveling up and evolving as the world evolves, you become stale, you become static and you stay at a level. So it's almost like you've worked here because life seemed good, you got a nice car, you got the family, kids, you could maybe go on holiday once a year. You're feeling like, yeah, I like this. But then after a while, at that level, it's like, you stop growing.
Yes.
You stop growing. I feel like they are there now because they stopped working on themselves. They stopped learning new skills. They stopped educating themselves. They stopped, just leveling up. Becoming the highest version of themselves.
No, I was going to say. And I feel like almost like adding to that as well, I don't know, like, why do you feel like they do that? That's what I kind of understand. Like, why do you think men stay silent?
I feel...
I say they like I'm not a man.
Yeah. Whoa.
The people that don't like to identify. Nah, joking.
I feel as a man, you are just expected just to put on a brave face all the time and be strong and like just get on with it. I don't know if it's that, again, something that we've been conditioned to as children, as young men, that you don't complain, you just get on with it. And I think we are coming from a generation where our parents always kind of push, just, go uni, get a job, just as long as you live a comfortable life, that's how your life is meant to be, as opposed to going out and achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. So I feel like there's an element of conditioning from like parents, from society, from your friends. I'm just expected to this life is just okay for me. So I'm not going to complain about a life that I always thought, or complain about a life that I've always been told this is okay for me.
But is that hopefully wrong though? Like that way of thinking? Because some could say like, what does complaining do? What does talking about it do? Like, we talk, a few episodes back, like combined that we lost like 50K. Like, what is actually complaining? I need cash right now.
Yeah.
I need solutions to my problems right now. So am I going to do all this emotional thing? Let me just crack on and just ride this wave.
Yeah, but I think, as men, we tend to keep a lot within ourselves because we feel like we can't share our problems and we don't want to appear weak to other men and other people, our family. But I always feel like sharing information with others just allows you to get another perspective on it. Allows you to think about things that maybe you never thought about. And when you're in your own little world, your own little bubble, you're really restricted to what you can see. So I think for men, it's understanding that, you might be feeling quite lonely right now, but try and speak to other people, bro, because someone else might have gone through what you've gone through, might be able to give advice, might be able to help. Being silent won't get you nowhere. And it's okay to say how you feel and talk about how you feel. People pay for therapists, bro. Do you know what I mean? So the silence thing, in my opinion, in my eyes, is, again, something that maybe our fathers taught us, that you're a man, you need to be strong. You don't talk about how you feel, you just kind of get on with it. And I feel like we need to get rid of that kind of mindset and mentality. Yeah,
and I feel like there's an element of truth to both sides. Obviously, this again just very much my perspective, right? But I feel like it's also, because I was very much on like, bro, I don't need to speak to no one about my problems. I deal with my problems. I'm the only person that can solve my problems. But I think it's a matter of, I do think you need to be vocal as a man about your issues and what you're going through. But I think you need to be vocal to the right person.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that's the sweet spot. And I feel like that's what happens to maybe perhaps a lot of men, where like they're vocal to, it could be their wife, their partner, sister, cousin, or someone else, and their response is probably, not what they wanted to hear, or not like, valuable towards the current situation. Like, no, I'm never doing that again. Do you get what I mean? So I feel like that's more so the sweet spot. But obviously we'll come a bit into like sort of like practical steps, but I think, you're right. Like it's very much a conditioning thing. Do you think it'll ever change? Like 100 years from now? Do you think like you can see just like the shift of like, men in therapy going to like from it like, perhaps leading to like more females to like men, like 70%?
I think it will, if we get more of this, like these open discussions from, men who are just open about how they feel. So it's also like you feel like, actually, you know what, maybe it is all right to speak to people. Maybe it is all right to have these open conversations. Maybe it is all right to find a brotherhood of men who, think how I think, look at life how I look at life, and just have these open conversations. Things become a lot easier, and you just feel comfortable and confident to say how you feel and get you out of the situation that you're in. I believe that a lot of people are living a life that they're not very happy with, and to stop themselves from feeling like crap, they distract themselves with things. They distract themselves with social media, with gaming, with sport, football. It's almost like, I talk about this all the time, it's almost like it's an escapism from their real life. They know their life is rubbish, so they do all these different things, spend money they don't have, go shopping, buy all this stuff to really escape from the life that they really hate, as opposed to addressing the issue. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, why do people tend to do that? Have you ever done that?
Of course. All the time, joking. But I feel like it's because it's easier. It's easier to kind of like face the music. It's easier to, to confront your problems and your fears, and so you get distracted in a lot of stuff that doesn't mean anything. I'm very much like that. I hate difficult conversations, frankly speaking. I'll do anything I'll catch a flight to avoid a difficult conversation. Like it just kind of builds up like butterflies, rats, bats, whatever you want to call it in my tummy. Like I just feel so uncomfortable. So I would find anything, like good distractions, bad distractions, like whatever it could be, like whether I'll just go to the gym or I'll go for a walk, I'll lose myself in like, you know, brain rot, like, you know, Insta scrolls. Like it's just an uncomfortable feeling, I think. And I feel like a lot of, you know, men can probably relate to that just because, you know, modern life is built around distractions, right? It's built around distractions. Like the world has been built up to the point where you can't there's no time for meaningful things. There's no, like you look left, right, like you can leave your phone at home and there's ample amount of distractions 100 meters either side. Do you get what I mean? So I feel like it's, again, the current time we're in. Yeah. I think ultimately as well, that also kind of has a contributing factor.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, totally. Yeah, I think escapism is real, and I feel we've all been guilty of it. I've been guilty of myself. You just said you've been guilty of it. You know, escapism, some people have addictions. Some people like to drink. Some people like to smoke. Some people even use work, like just getting up every day and going to work as an escape, as opposed to actually addressing the matter at hand. Like, am I feeling lonely? Do I really enjoy my life? Am I happy? Like, we're not actually addressing the issue. We're not getting down and dirty and looking at our life and thinking, shit, I hate my life. Let me fix it. And yeah, escapism is real, and people are just staying busy to escape their life.
Definitely. And I think sometimes like the problem with escapism is that it can sometimes look like a true way out. Do you get what I mean? Like you said, like a lot of people said, like, how does work or, you know, going into work be like a distraction? Surely that's good. But like, again, the right type of work, or what you're doing, or again, like you're not trying to face the music, perhaps, or like, you know, you're just locking yourself away to kind of like look busy, but in reality, you're not doing anything that's really moving the lever in the right way.
And also, what it does, it just distracts you. It distracts you from gaining clarity on where you're trying to go in life. If you're constantly drinking, constantly smoking, constantly gaming, constantly watching football, going football matches, you're just being distracted with like cheap dopamine. And what that does, it just delays you achieving what you want to achieve. And yeah, I feel like that constant distraction really disconnects men from the actual purpose, or even finding their purpose. If I'm distracted by all these different things, when do I now find the time to, number one, find my purpose, and then number two, actually work on my purpose? You know, so I think, yeah, there's an element of men being distracted by pleasure, guilty pleasures, and we've all been guilty of it, but we need to understand, in order to get out of the trap, we need to identify, I am being distracted with cheap dopamine. I am now trying to escape from my life rather than actually try and fix my life and create the life that I want.
No, 100%. And I feel like that sort of like nicely leads on to, you know, what we kind of spoke about a bit earlier on in terms of like within like happiness and like purpose as well. I feel like men don't necessarily need motivation, but they need more so of a meaning.
Yes.
A purpose. Yes. A goal, an objective, right? And I kind of want to talk a bit about that and how important it is for a man to find that meaning. Yes. Right?
I think firstly, we need to differentiate between like a purpose and like motivation, because I know we all can get motivated. Someone can watch this or listen to this right now, get motivated, and then the next day, like they don't do nothing with it. So I think we need to kind of move away from the idea of being motivated. And I've been there before. I'm like trying to pump myself up, but motivation, in my opinion, is fleeting. Yeah. So it's almost like when you now decide you want to think about your purpose, it's the purpose that changes you, not the motivation. So, you know, like you alluded to, we need to build something meaningful that then gives our life purpose, then gives us direction, and then allows us to now develop an element of discipline to go after our purpose.
100%. And I feel like a lot of people think, oh, but sometimes I need to be motivated, but it's the purpose that creates the energy for you to then be motivated. right? Because you know what you're going to do, that creates a form of excitement, that builds a form of enthusiasm that then gives you the motivation to keep on going. And then when you no longer feel motivated, you remember, okay, cool, this is my destination and where I actually need to go. This is my meaning, this is my purpose, this is my why, ikigai, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that will just allow you to keep on like cycling through, even on times when you don't want to.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, I was kind of just drifting, coasting through life when I didn't have purpose, when I didn't have meaning, when I didn't look at what I want my life to look like, when I didn't have goals, when I didn't have things I wanted to achieve and improve in life. And I just feel like as a man, you come alive. Like you get out of bed with a spring, not every day, because there's gonna be days that, you know, you do feel like crap, but most of the time when you create that purpose, it makes you feel, it gives you energy. Like I said, it makes you come alive. And I just, purpose creates the energy, and the energy is what you then use to then better your life.
No, 100%. And I feel like sort of like naturally now speaking, we spoke a bit on the topic, but I want to kind of dive in very quickly, like personally as well.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of like your personal experiences. Like I'll speak for myself. Well, I think, and again, a lot of the times will be very much in hindsight. If you can clock it now, and even just from watching this, and you're able to clock, okay, right now I'm in the grade, and like happy days, like you're in a lot more better position than personally I was. But I feel like, I don't think I even realized I was in the grade until like, I want to say like 5 years later.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Genuinely. Because sometimes, and that's the problem with the grade, it looks great. Like, I think like my point of grade was when I started my corporate work, just before I started my business. And I realized that now looking back, because when I started my business, it was the first time ever I was building something for myself. But when I was working in corporate, I was building for someone else. But again, because of environments, because of society, because of what I've been conditioned to, that felt normal.
Yeah.
And as we obviously know, the normal is the great.
Yes.
Right? So when I was working as an apprentice in finance, I'm 18 years old, I'm rubbing shoulders with, multi-millionaires, and in the city, I'm suited and booted. I felt like I was doing my thing. I felt like I was doing, but like, I was just really and truly living the life someone else wanted to do. Right? Because when someone asks, oh, what did you want to do? Why do you want to become a project manager? Because I know another guy that's making money. Not because that's something I actually wanted to
not
do.
your actual purpose.
I did not necessarily enjoy it. I was good at it, but I didn't enjoy it. Wasn't like, yippee-yay, like this is what I do type of thing. Like it was great on paper, but like that wasn't my calling. That was not my calling. But again, in the moment from the age of like 18 to like 22, right? If you was to ask me, Freeman, are you happy? I would 110% yes. If you were to ask me like, are you doing what you want to do? I would 110% said yes. And I think that's the problem with the great.
I want to ask you a quick question, because there could be people listening, watching, thinking, all right, cool, that sounds great. I don't know my calling. How do I figure that out? How did you figure out your calling?
I think sometimes, and cinema doesn't always help, like they feel like you're meant to go on some, philosophical walk, skip some stones on the river, and then an act of God is just going to sort of like arrive and you're going to find your purpose. And I feel like it takes doing. It takes discovery. I think it takes actually just like living life and experiencing opportunities, cultures, and just doing as much as you can to then filter out what you like doing, what you don't like doing, and what almost feels like it's a gift, like the most natural kind of thing to you, right? And I feel trying to be as explorative as possible is massively important. And like networking, finding out what other people are doing, and just being curious, like just being uncomfortable. I think that's the best thing to say to do, like being uncomfortable and trying to go against the grain. I feel like that's like one of the ways that, one can try to discover themselves and find their purpose.
Yeah.
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 What about you? What would you say, like personally, like you kind of fought in the grey?
This morning, so a grey area for me was when I was going through my gambling addiction. And the reason why it was a grey area for me is because I had normalised a gambling addiction not being a gambling addiction, and it just mean me just having fun, wasting my money away. But in truth, like on the inside, I was like being destroyed bit by bit, but I was holding on the outside looking strong. Like you wouldn't, I could have lost £1,000 last night, and I could meet with you now, you'd never know it, bro. So internally I was like a mess, and externally I was putting on this brave face. And the reason why I say it was a grey area, because ultimately it was a distraction keeping me from being where I wanted to be and needed to be. And yeah, it definitely held me back. I almost feel I wasted 12, 13 years in that grey area with those distractions of gambling, and ultimately delaying finding my purpose, delaying working on myself, delaying building something bigger than me, and just letting go of something that was ultimately holding me back, man.
Would you say like the breaking point? Because that's hard, man. Like 13 years, 12 years, that's a long time. Like, what was the actual like breaking point?
What was the breaking point? I almost feel like my relationship would have just fallen apart. Like, I kind of got an ultimatum, like, if you don't sort your life out, this is just... And at first I was like, cool, and then I thought, actually, no. You know what? This is probably the kick up the arse that I needed. And, bro, do you know what it is? Honestly, I just got tired of losing money, bro.
Yeah, that will do it as well.
Like, literally, I got tired of losing money, and I kept accepting that it was okay to lose money. And I'm like, this really isn't okay to keep losing money. And I just, one day, just had to look at myself in the mirror, like, John, this needs to stop. This is going to ruin you. And I think looking back at my life, the two biggest distractions or that thing that kept me in the grey area, I always used to say was gambling and girls, bro. The two biggest ones.
GG.
But GG, but that's another episode. But
yeah,
just, it was a big struggle. It was a struggle that I hid for a very long time, and it definitely distracted me. It was my escapism from actually going away and working on myself.
Yeah.
And getting uncomfortable. That was my grey area.
No, 100%. No, that's good, bro. In terms of like, we're always about like some practical escape routes now for people to kind of get out of this, this grey area, this trap right now. What would you say like is one thing, or what would you say is the first step, shall I say, that someone can use to kind of get out of the grey area now?
Yeah, I think you have to, look at yourself, tell the truth, get honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you can't be honest with anyone. Like, it's okay to say I'm not happy with my life right now. It's okay to say I don't like my job. It's okay to say I don't like my partner. It's okay to say I don't like my career. It's okay to say sometimes I don't even like my kids. But just being honest with yourself and admit when something feels off. And I feel like that's what we don't do enough of. We don't admit to ourselves when things are off. When you don't like something, you just get on with it. We need to stop pretending everything's fine when it's not fine. Because that will just delay and delay and delay where you need to be. And I think the big thing here, guys, is that self-awareness is the shift. Once you can become self-aware of your feelings, your thoughts, your environment, your situation, then everything will change. Because ultimately, you can't change your life if you refuse to acknowledge it.
100%.
So what about yourself?
I feel like naturally leading off to that, it has to be removing the escapes, removing the distractions, whether we think like they're good distractions or they're bad distractions, but ultimately distraction is a distraction. So I feel like, maybe if you're a smoker or you're a drinker, I feel like sometimes like going like super cold turkey can be very, very difficult, but it's more so the habit and not the end product. I think I don't know if it was Atomic Habits. And I remember within reading this book, Slight Tangent, he said that, his dad after dinner would always kind of go into his car, pull out his glove box and, smoke his smokes.
Yeah.
But instead of, completely saying, okay, cool, I'm not going to go to my car after dinner, instead of, putting his smokes in his glove box, he put some lollipops. So sometimes it's not necessarily like trying to change that habit, because as we know, like humans, like we're creatures of habit, right? So maybe like it's just more so like, okay, cool. If you like to drink, if you like to smoke, maybe just replace that with something else, right? You like the the feel of like sort of chugging back a bottle, or you like the glass feel of like drinking like a cold beverage. So maybe not after your meal don't have a nice drink, just have an alcoholic-free beer, right? So I think like it's just like, sometimes like I feel like people are super militant, David Goggins, you gotta change, you gotta do this, but I feel like realistically it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Like me, I'm gluttonous. I love my food. So you telling me, Freeman, you can't do no high calorific intake for 6 months? That's ludicrous, right? So what about you just reduce your intake? So rather than doing it every day, you do it once a week. And then from then once a week, you might do it every fortnight, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like, remove the escape routes, but also do so in a meaningful way by just removing that specific kind of like escape route.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think the next one for me is rebuild the discipline. And I'm gonna use the word rebuild because I feel every single one of us on this planet have an element of discipline, or we had an element of discipline, but we became undisciplined. So I almost feel like you need to retrain yourself to be disciplined again. Like when we were younger, we had to get up at a certain time, go to school. You had discipline.
100%.
Be on time for this, that. But somewhere along the line,
You lost it.
we lost that discipline. Bro. We got comfortable. We just accepted life for what it was. And kind of just lost all of that. And I think, let's build back that discipline. Let's identify one thing that we can do for the next 21 days. I think there's a stat that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So let's develop that discipline. Can we go to the gym? Can we go to bed on time every day? Can we read a book for half an hour? Can we create a routine that we can stick to? And the whole point of that is to build back that discipline muscle. Because then once we can build that discipline muscle, we then become consistent. We then build structure. And discipline builds self-respect.
100%. And I feel like naturally from there, kind of like harping on what we've been saying, is like now trying to find purpose through movement.
Yes.
Create something, learn something, build something, and just stop waiting to feel ready. Simply. Like just put pen to paper and just action it, right? Stop trying to find, like we said in another episode as well, like trying to find like optimal conditions, the room temperature, the perfect pad, all this market research. Like this, again, there's a fine line.
Delay tactics.
Literally, there's a fine line. So I feel like, we just need to build something, create something, and just act.
Yes. No, I love that. Cool, guys. Well, there you have it. Hope you really enjoyed that episode. That one was, I think for a lot of the men out there who might be feeling a bit stuck, they are not where they want to be. Whether it's their career, whether they're not making the money they want to make, maybe they're not happy in a relationship. Like this one, guys, is for you. So we hope you really thoroughly enjoyed that one. But the next part of the show is called Plug Bite. So this is where myself and Freeman read out, a quote. Freeman likes to say a scripture, like a passage, something that we saw and it inspired us and made us want to share with you, our Unplug family.
100%. So my Plug Bites, I referenced them a bit earlier on in the pod normally, but it's from the one and only top ultimate grafter of a guy, David Goggins. And it says, the only person who was going to turn my life around was me. And I think ultimately for every man that's watching this right now, you are responsible for your own success. No one else, explicitly. So having the utmost accountability for your future, for your success, for your downfall, for your mistakes is ultimately important. And I feel like once you can harness that understanding that you are responsible for everything in your life, that's what's really going to change things.
Love that. Thank you. Cool. My one is from my number one mentor, philosopher. I listen to him every day, he inspires me every day, is Jim Rohn. So thank you, Jim. Jim goes on to say the greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. And I love that because I always thought growing up, you want to achieve this, you want to achieve that, you want to achieve this. But if you work on yourself, everything that you want is a byproduct of you working on yourself. So the more you work on yourself, the more you're going to achieve. And in setting yourself goals, don't look at what you're going to get from those goals. Look at what has working towards those goals or achieving those goals allow you to become as a person. You become more disciplined. You've become more perseverant. You've become resilient. You've become more discipline. You've become all these different things by working towards your goals and your dreams. Because if we don't work towards our goals and our dreams, we just stay the same. We get stale, we rot. And like I always say, like if you're not evolving in an evolving world, you're dead.
And I love that. But guys, I really, really hope you appreciated this episode. Man them, this was for you. Girl them, take notes for your man. But now we really, really feel like this is an important episode because there are a lot of guys in the grey right now and we think it's cool, we think it's okay. But it's not just you, it's happening to millions of people. And again, we're also on a journey as well. JP, talk to the people then. What's our journey?
Yeah, guys, so we are on a journey of 1,000 subscribers. We do this every week for you guys. We want to share with you our knowledge, our ups, our downs, and hopefully help change your life. So We are on the road to 1,000 subs. If you have not already, make sure you click the big subscribe button in the middle of the screen. It's free, it's easy. Maybe share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. I know there's some, elders who listen to this, mums, dads. Share this with your children, share this with your nephew, share this with your friends. We want to spread positivity across the world and help you elevate and go to the next level.
110%. And just finally, we've just made ease of access for everyone because we understand people are on the go as well, JP.
Indeed.
So what else have we done for the people then?
So guys, we are on Spotify. We are on Apple. There are no excuses. You can listen to this while you're washing up the plates, while you're hoovering, cleaning your house, while you're driving in your car, while you're in the gym. So make sure you are listening on those platforms as well.
Please, please, please. And as always, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell his mistress. As always, guys, love, love, love.
Elevate.